I mean, you obviously know we're starting with this tonight, right? We are.
We have here in the chamber today Ukrainian-Canadian world veteran from the Second World War who fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians and continues to support the troops today, even at his age of 98.
And continues to support the troops today. I said it yesterday before the news actually broke, not knowing the news that was going to break. A bunch of clapping seals. They're a bunch of clapping, barking seals. They have no idea what they're doing. Oh, we're so important. Wait for the punchline for those of you who don't yet know what it is.
His name is Yaroslav Hunka.
Look it up, people.
And I was going to say he's in the gallery, but I think you beat me to that. But I'm very proud to say that he is from North Bay and from my riding of Nipissing-Temiskaming.
Not to state the obvious, he ain't from North Bay, dude. He might live there now. He ain't from North Bay.
He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero, and we thank him for all his service. Thank you.
That's the second standing ovation. That's the second standing ovation. This is Canadian Parliament. Look at it. Oh! Let me just pause it in the montage. The 14th Waffen Grenadier Division of the SS. I think that's the secret police, the Nazi secret police, or the SS, the Nazi regime. That's what it is. 14th SS Volunteer Division, Galicia. Let's just go back to hearing the clapping. I remember that name, Jaroslav Hunka. On 22 September 2023, this is from Wikipedia. Yaroslav Hunka, veteran of the division. What was that division again? I think I forgot, Bill. What was that? Oh yeah, that's right. The SS. Not even as far as I understand, a volunteer SS, not even a conscripted soldier. A volunteer Nazi soldier. Was invited to the Parliament of Canada along with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, where they both received standing ovations from Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and most other MPs. Let me correct you, Wikipedia, all other MPs. And I made a joke yesterday not knowing exactly where this was going. Pierre Poilievre there with his lackluster clapping. Yeah, you're still blameworthy, Pierre. Oh, but people, I'm going to leave that window open just in case we have to come back to it. For those of you who don't know, and this is a scandal of international proportions, and I'm going to explain why in a bit. I wasn't going to start with this, but we're going to put this on blast like nothing in the history of Canada has been put on blast. Locals is not streaming. There's a reason for that. Son of a beasting. Give me 30 seconds because the Locals is not missing this. We are going to put this on blast in a way that... Edit. Add. My apologies, Locals. I'm an idiot. Custom RTPM. Right there. That's one. I knew I forgot something today. I've been distracted. I got up early, ran a 5K race, went surfing, tried to do some homework. 179 is the episode, and we are going to save it. And Locals, we should be live now. I'm not a rookie. What I am is I have distracted thoughts. I have trouble focusing. There's a machine that is perpetually churning behind my forehead for good and for bad. And the last few days, it feels more for bad than for good because I'm distracted and can't concentrate. Okay, whatever. Now we're good. Waiting on Locals. Okay, I think we're good in Locals. Let me make sure. The one time I don't say, hey, let me just make sure that we're live on all platforms. We're not, because there we go. We're good. We're good. We're live on Locals. We're live on Rumble, and we are live on YouTube. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what happened, we're going to put this story on blast. It has already picked up the attention of some big prominent voices in the, what do they call it? The American blogosphere? The American political blogosphere. Volodymyr Zelensky has been doing his North American run, asking for more money, goes to American government, meets with everybody there, asks for another $24 billion. The U.S., as far as I know, as far as I understand, has now given $135 billion in aid, military assistance, or whatever else the term is. Over $135 billion. I think Canada is up to $9 billion. $9 billion from Canada. We are roughly 10 times smaller than the U.S., so we're still giving proportionately less than the U.S. The people of Lahaina have lost their homes. We still don't know how many dead children there are, last I checked. They could rebuild every last house that was destroyed in Lahaina for what I understand, $5 or $6 billion. But no, Lahaina, the victims there, you need to sit down and be quiet because Ukraine is more important than you. Ukraine is more strategically important on the international scene. You sit down, you be quiet. Here's your one-time $700 payment, and we'll get to identifying the dead children when we have a chance. Right now, we're just counting money for Zelensky. So Zelensky goes to the U.S., asks for $24 billion more dollars. Then he goes and does his hat-out routine in Canada. Meeting with Chrystia Freeland, Justin Trudeau. Oh, they're hugging each other. They're like, oh, it's such emotional. It's a family reunion. And they're saying, yeah, well, hey, Zelensky, here's some more Canadian taxpayer dollars. They had a guest of honor join Volodymyr Zelensky in Parliament on Friday, and his name was Yaroslav Hunka. I don't think many people knew who this individual was, and I guarantee you that a great many of the parliamentarians who stood there clapping like a bunch of idiot buffoon seals, just barking on demand like someone threw the little cookie. Here's your fish, parliamentarian. Clap, you barking seals. They take... Hold on, someone says Rumble's offline? No, we're live on Rumble. They're clapping at, the guy. Because a military hero came with Zelensky, a military hero who is still supporting the troops of Ukraine even today. Let that sink in for a second. And because these parliamentarians are idiots, and I'm using it in the actual definitional sense, they are unintelligent buffoons. They either have an IQ below 80 or they have an understanding of history below 50. They're actual idiots. They don't understand the history of World War II. I was thinking about it earlier today. It's like, everybody says the Soviets were the heroes because they fought and defeated the Nazis. The Soviet regime was responsible for the deaths, the killing of anywhere between, estimates are 32 million to 120 plus million people over their 70-year regime. The Soviets are responsible for the killing of what is widely accepted to be the acceptable estimate, over 60 million people. Killed, starved, famined, sent to Siberia, sent to camps. The Soviets are the heroes in the lore of the West because they fought the Nazis, because the Nazis were the villains, because the Nazis had the Holocaust. They were killing the Jews, gypsies, blacks. They were going for global domination. And because the Soviets defeated the Nazis, the Soviets, who were responsible for killing more than the Nazis, are the heroes. They bring out this war hero on the basis that he fought the Soviets, because the Soviets today are the enemy. These idiots do not understand history. Who fought the Soviets? The Nazis fought the Soviets. When the Nazis invaded Ukraine, they got Nazi soldiers from Ukraine. There was a whole piece, I forget where I read it now, talking about how, the Ukrainian lore views Nazis differently than the rest of the world. Because to them, they were less bad than the Soviets. That may be the case. It's conceivable that in the broader scheme of history, Hitler was bad, so was the Soviet regime. And they bring out this guy, Yaroslav Hunka, as a hero. You remember what we watched in the intro of this? A hero. He fought the Soviets, so he's a hero today. And they don't understand, they don't know, or they do. He was a Nazi soldier volunteer, from what I understand. Now you've got the entire Parliament of Canada literally giving not one, but 2 standing ovations to a literal Nazi, not a Rachel Maddow literally, to a literal Nazi. Holy shit. Like once we're getting demonetized on YouTube, holy shit. And I said Trudeau's in big, if this is not a scandal to end the Trudeau regime, there will not be one. The problem is, it's all of them. You see these rat parliamentarians on Twitter now trying to jump ship. We didn't know who he was. They told us he was a hero. If you're an idiot and you're giving Volodymyr Zelensky a standing ovation because based on your understanding, they're the good guys this time around. Why? Because they're fighting the Soviets. They're fighting the Russians. And the Russians now are our enemy. Analogize it, you idiot parliamentarians. The Soviets were the allies because they were fighting the Nazis, and yet they were also the bad guys. Can that make sense? It's conceivable that even though it may or may not be the reality, Russia is now depicted as being the enemy, and Ukraine the hero for fighting the enemy. Analogize how the Soviets were lionized, were turned into heroes for fighting the Nazis, despite them being responsible for killing over 60 million people. These idiot parliamentarians don't know what they're clapping at. They don't understand history. They don't understand the present. And these are the people marching us into World War III. Marching us into World War III and paving the road with our taxpayer dollars to the detriment of the people these idiots were elected to represent. And this is a scandal. It's not even a scandal. It's a bloody outrage. It's a shame on Canada. And I say the Canadian government, not the Canadian people. The tragedy for the Canadian people is that we're governed by these idiots. They invited a Nazi soldier into Parliament, gave him 2 standing ovations, praised him for supporting the regime today, the Zelensky regime. And I'm separating that from the Ukrainian people, who are the victims in this. People don't understand this. The Ukrainian civilians are the innocent victims in this. Innocent victims of Russian aggression, a regional conflict, and the innocent victims of a West who will spare no Ukrainian blood for their proxy war against Russia, as long as it takes. Oh, what's that? Ukrainian regime had a big Nazi problem? You know, MSM was reporting on that 5, 6, 10 years ago. And then we're told now that they don't have a Nazi problem, that it's Russian propaganda. Oh, they've got such a Nazi problem that their heroes of today are literal Nazi soldiers. Set aside everything else that we already know. This could work out to be the greatest eye-opener in Canadian history. I think the Canadian Parliament just red-pilled all of Canada. We had 338 of our members of Parliament giving 2 standing ovations to a Nazi soldier. Well done, Justin Trudeau. Holy crap. And not just that, I say that's one scandal. I think Justin is not long for politics anymore, because what Justin just did right now, I would dare say red pill the world, but he just brought to the fore that entire thing that we were told was Russian disinformation. What Nazi problem? There's no Nazi problem in Ukraine. Go Google the articles. 2018, they were running these articles. 2014, there were documentaries on YouTube talking about the Azov Battalion, the Nazi iconography, the far-right problem in Ukraine. And then 2022 hits, it's all a lie. Don't believe it. It's Russian propaganda. Yep, like the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Justin Trudeau just brought back this Nazi problem to the fore of the international discourse. He basically just, like, if you watched my exclusive video for locals beforehand, he basically, like the Dane Cook joke, just took a dump in the coat room. The entire world right now is seeing that the heroes of Ukraine now are actual Nazis. When we were told that it was Russian disinformation, Russian propaganda, they don't have a far-right problem. Zelensky, the saint, the good. Putin, the bad. People now are going to realize that that's not the case, and they were lying to us yet again. I made a list over the weekend, all of the massive lies in history. They have lied to us over and over again. Weapons of mass destruction lie, 500,000 dead Iraqi children. Was it worth it? Madeleine Albright says yes. What lie today are they telling us? And how many Ukrainian civilians is it going to cost? It's going to be worth it to them. If they can get Putin out of power, if they can have their proxy war and win their proxy war and dominate Russia, it doesn't matter how many Ukrainians die. It'll be worth it for them. Oh, A shame not, how do I bring up, I'm in the Rumble chat, I can't highlight it. A shame no one in Parliament had the clown horn sound on their phone during the applause. No. And you got Pierre Poilievre begrudgingly clapping. Oh, I made a joke. Oh yeah, Pierre, you'll get the media's good graces for begrudgingly clapping Zelensky as he comes in to steal our Canadian taxpayer dollars. It was a lackluster clap, so I was doing it under duress. You lackluster clapped a Nazi soldier, Pierre. Because none of you understand history, you're incapable of understanding the present, and you are marching us towards a future that none of us deserve. Oh, okay.